Well, you could be sitting there watching 50 Shades of Grey, but instead you're going to be watching 32 Shades of Rubio Monocoat pre-color. My name is Nick and this is Mokuzai Design. So I've lined these up in order. Order of what, you say? I have no idea because I've never used these before. But what I'm going to need is a piece of wood to test them on. I'm going to get this marked up to make it sort of some sort of professional looking experiment. But there are some ground rules. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm only going to put one coat of each colour onto a little bit of pine. Now obviously the colours would change with if you were using different colour woods. So what I would say is if you're buying one, then you buy perhaps either side of it as testers and play around with it like that. And apparently these can be mixed. So if you wanted a different tone, perhaps put a little bit of purin or whatever to lighten it, to darken it, whatever you want to do, you can do that apparently. I'm not going to do that today. So first job is to get this all marked up and get some pads ready, and then we can start. The colours I've got, okay, I'm going to run through them very quickly. Super white, white 5%, mist 5%, vanilla, smoke 5%, corn silk, cotton white, stone, smoked oak, mud light, bourbon, ice brown, olive, oyster, aqua, havana, savannah, sky grey, slate grey, silver grey, ash grey, gris belge, whatever that is, titanium grey, antique bronze, mahogany, dark oak, castle brown, charcoal and black. Let's get this marked up. Okay, so I've got some gloves. I've got some Scotch pads. I've got a pal there ready. Each one will have his own little Scotch pad. I'm going to get on with staining, and then what we'll do is we will come back and I will try as I can. Obviously on camera it's going to look slightly different to real life. Is that right? Now the other thing to remember is I better start this end. The other thing to remember is that different colour woods can have different results. And the next thing to remember is that they say it's a one coat finish. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do literally one coat and that's it. I have got a little bit thing later on in the video where I will do a little bit of experimenting. I'm just going to rub this on like it says, and I'll get through those. I'll let them dry, and then we'll come back and then we'll have a little look together. I've got some lint-free cloth ready to wipe these, by the way. I'm not going to do it all with the same pad. So it should be fairly fair. But what I'm really interested in, this isn't an experiment as such. This is all about experimenting for my own peace of mind about what I can and what I can't do with these little dies, and how subtle are the changes. Now apparently this is tiny little bottles I bought. I did realise, by the way, there aren't 32 colours, 31. I bought that bigger one for a specific reason. I'll come back to you about that later. Now obviously between shades, not really much difference, but you know what, it might make the one's going to be, when you see it in real life and on the wood that you're going to be using, there's probably going to be a case of, yep, that's the one. Okay, I'll just get on with this. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I spared you the view of me putting on numerous colours, so you can thank me for that later. It's gone quite well. I'm actually quite pleased with the dies themselves. They do go a long way. I will say that. One little drop will go a long way. So my initial thoughts, yeah, it's a good stain. Good dye, good stain. However, I think you have to be very cautious as to what colour that you're going to order. And the reason I say that is because some of the differences are extremely subtle, unlike myself. So I'm going to show you the colours. Tell you what I wanted to do as well is I'm going to just pop on some cotton white. There it is. Just going to pop some cotton white onto this bit of oak. I've got a little bit of oak here as well. Just put that on there for a second. I'm going to show you this bit of oak. And actually, you know, we mentioned different woods taken in different ways, how they take the dye in different ways, which is fairly obvious, I would have thought. But I want to show you some of the differences. What I have found with the pine, as opposed to, I put about 4 colours on there now. With the pine, it basically just sucks it in. So, is it the right wood for it? I don't know. Possibly. It could probably do with 2 coats, maybe. I should have put my gloves back on, shouldn't I? I might spend 3 hours cleaning my hands up later. Yeah, some of the colours are quite different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the colours with you. Ooh, there's another piece of green tape there. I'm going to go through the colours with you, and then I will give you my opinion. And the reason I'm going to give an opinion is because I don't think you will be able to see exactly what I'm seeing on camera. So I'm just going to talk you through it as we go along, and I will name the colours. Remember, this is on pine. So let's do that. Okay, let me just run through these colours. Super white, white 5%, mist 5%, vanilla, stone, smoke 5%, corn silk, cotton white, stone, smoked oak, mudlight, bourbon, ice brown, olive, oyster, aqua, Havana, Savannah, can't read from there, sky grey, ash grey, silver grey, slate grey, and grease beige. Beige grey, is that right? Let me just flip the wood over and we'll look at the other colours. Okay, so on the other side then, we've got titanium grey, antique brown, mahogany, dark oak, castle brown, charcoal, and black. Now, as an example, black, I would probably use India ink if I wanted something completely black. But looking through it, it's looking all right. It's a nice finish if that's the look that you're going for. So I did do it on the oak as well. So let's just have a quick look at that. That's cotton white, that's the sky grey, that's the antique brown, and that's the dark oak. So you can see very, very slight differences. If I brought this down, where's the dark oak? Dark oak. So you can see the differences in that dark oak there, look, as an example. And the antique, slightly different in the oak. And that's sort of something that goes through the range, I should imagine. I only did the 4 colours on the oak just to see what they were like. I do really like, if you're going for that oak look, the stain for the dark oak is fantastic. The bronze, antique bronze is lovely. The sky, if you're looking for that more modern looking oak, that's fantastic. And the white, if that's a, you know, they're all good paints. They're all good dyes at the end of the day. They're easy to apply. But what I'm going to do is, these are water based, and I'm going to put a hard wax over the top. Now if you put in an oil base over a water base, then obviously you've got to make sure that the water base is absolutely bone dry before you do that. So I'll leave that overnight. I might be back tomorrow or the day after, and we'll put a coat of hard wax oil over the top, and we'll see how they look then. Okay, I'm going to use a satin. Will I use a matte? No, I'm going to use a satin hard wax oil over the top just to have a quick look. I don't want to use a gloss or anything like that, because 1, I don't like glossy wood, and 2, I think that halfway house of satin will give us a better example. And I'll also put it on this little piece of oak as well, see how that looks. What I did want to do whilst that's drying is, we'll get that away for now, because at the end of the day, that's just putting a bit of a dab of stain on, a bit of a stain on a bit of pine. Okay, I've just shown some sort of snippets really. I mean, at the end of the day, that it's not like a work piece. Do you see that? Well caught. All of this mess out of the way. Use this cloth. So get a nice bit of clean cloth there. I've got a bit of oak. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to stain this oak, and you can see what you think of the quality. I have cheated. I've done the other side and had a look myself. Have a little look. As you can see, it doesn't take a huge amount to start getting really good coverage. And somebody did say not to put it directly onto the wood, just put it on the cloth, but I don't agree with that, because it's not leaving any marks. Get it all worked in there nice. A little bit goes a long, long way, that's for sure. I'm literally putting just a drop of this on each time. Now this may not be your choice of colour, I understand that. but I tell you what, the difference putting it onto a decent piece of wood, I say decent, hardwood, there is a difference, there's no two ways about it. But having said that, I didn't really apply a lot to it was literally a dribble. It was the idea was to have a little look at the colours. But I think that looks absolutely superb. I'll let that dry for 24 hours and then I will buff that up a bit. So obviously colour is a personal choice, and you may or may not like this colour, but I put dark oak on oak. Okay, that's the original colour of the wood, and to be honest with you, I just think it looks fantastic. Would I necessarily use it on the project? Well, no, I would pick the colour that suits the project. But my initial thoughts now, having tried it on some hardwood, are it's absolutely superb. I honestly can't fault it. No, it's lovely. So, as I said earlier, keep scrap woods. If you've got little offcuts when you're making a project, if you keep the little offcuts to the side, and then if you want to experiment yourself with colours, you wouldn't have to buy all the colours I've bought. You would simply choose perhaps a range of colours and I believe that Rubio Monocoat do sample packs. Now I don't know how much they cost, I haven't got a clue, but I do believe they do sample packs. So keep the scrap woods, buy a couple of samples within the range of what you want, the colour tones that you want. Try it out in the scrap woods. When you know that you're happy with a particular colour, then just go and buy a tin of it ready, or the amount that you need. It is. I should say at this point, I'm not being sponsored by Rubio Monocoat. When I was talking about hard wax oil, I was talking about Osmo. So you can tell I've got no preferences. What I like is a really good finish. I don't care what name is on the tin. Okay, I am definitely now going to leave this alone and let it all dry out. So what has been 10 seconds for you has been a day and a half for me. So these are all bone dry with water-based stains. Anything water-based really. If you want to see it's fully dry, then if you give a piece a light sand, if it becomes a dust, then it tends to be dry. So what I'm going to do this morning, I've had a look at the colours, and yes, they are on pine. The colour on the piece of oak that I did, I've got to be honest with you, is actually quite stunning. Quite pleased with it. And I should imagine that, should I be doing, you put in a dab onto you just to get an idea of the colour. But should I put any of these stains on this wood, then I think I would have been just as happy with the result if it had been a colour of my choice. So what I'm going to do this morning, I'm going to use this as a bit of an experiment. People say you can't put oil base on water base, etc, etc. Yes, you can. Absolutely you can. Making sure that if it's oil onto water base, the water base is absolutely bone dry, and vice versa. They've got to be dry before you put on something else, which they are. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zap on some Osmo this morning and just see how that comes out. Now this is just a clear satin. And we'll let this dry, and then I will be able to tell you. It's a bit messy in parts because I was using gloves yesterday and I was picking up the wood in various places. This is probably going to be easier for you to see anyway on the camera in the darker colours. Not particularly taking much care about putting this on because this is going to be firewood very shortly. Although I might keep it just for a reference piece. I might keep it in my wood store. Just get this on quickly. And normally if I was working on a project piece, I'd be using some Scotch-Brite white pad. I would be putting this on properly, so please don't take this as a tutorial how to put Osmoil on. This is purely just a matter of getting it on as quickly as I can, just to have a little comparison. This is not a finished piece. Osmoil is so easy to put on. Okay, so I'm not doing it correctly, but because I've made an explanation, I don't want to go on about it, but it's very easy to put on. It's a great oil. I'm sure that other oils are comparable. The reason that I use Osmoil is because I always have. I can trust it. I know what I'm getting out of the tin. I know what to expect. And if it ain't broke, it don't need fixing. Right, okay. That'll take a little while to dry, not too long. What can I tell you about these finishes? They are very, very good. Are they the best? I don't know. At the end of the day, for me, if something colours wood well, I mentioned this before when I said, I use Osmoil, not Rubio Monocoat, and if something finishes wood well, then I won't put that on just yet. then I'll use it. With that in mind, because I know Rubio, I just continue to use it. As simple as that, really. It's not rocket science, is it? But I think that's quite pleasing. Okay, when that's dry, I will come back and we'll take another look together. Okay, so with this dry, what would I say about the colours? I know it's very difficult to see on camera. When I was filming, when I looked back last night at the colours when I filmed them, yeah, the camera's good and, it was a fair representation, but it's not the same as looking at it with your own eyes. And the differences are really subtle, but they are there, okay? Are the colours good? Yes. Are they the best I've ever seen? Can't say I can really compare, to be honest with you. I can't give a fair comparison. I've used other stains and I've always been pleased with those. So with the long-term effect of these, I can't give you an answer. But now that I've put on a satin coat of the Osmoil, I could say categorically that I would be pleased with any of those finishes. So, do I recommend Rubio Monocoat wood dye or pre-stain, whatever you want to call it? Yeah, I'd give it a go. Okay, can I recommend it? Probably not, but I don't have enough experience in it. But would I give it a go? Yes, I would. Would I recommend that you get sample packs first and try it on a similar piece of wood to your project? Yes, definitely. And specifically in the whites and the pale colors, I would probably have a look at their palette and go one either side of it and get sample packs for the 3, for example, so that you can do your own comparison on the wood that you're using. Okay, until the next video, take good care of yourself.